What do the Kings need to improve on headed into tonight's game? Is it plain and simply hitting the three? Is that it?
Right now, if I had to pick somebody, I'd say hitting the three. That's what I'd say right now. I mean, they could obviously come in there today and not play any defense. And we're talking about in game 4, they need to play better defense. But they've been good
Mhm.
defensively after the first 2 games. So they don't necessarily like if they play the same type of defense, I think they'll be all right. So they don't necessarily need to improve, but they do need to improve and make the Warriors pay for giving up those open looks. You got to hit them. You got to hit them. You're getting those looks. You got to cash in on those looks. If you're the Sacramento Kings, I mean, I don't know. You don't know what might happen. The Warriors might start playing great defense at home, and carry it over to the road, and you
Mhm.
won't get the same type of looks. And you'll be sitting there saying, man, if we would have just cashed in earlier, maybe it'd be a different series. So when you get those open looks, you gotta knock them down
And this is that, adjustment thing that we
at a higher
always
clip.
yeah, for sure. This is that adjustment thing that we always talk about where, everyone it was the post All-Star break. Everyone's going to ramp up
Mhm.
except the Sacramento Kings.
Mhm.
Everyone's going to it's things are going to get tougher. Sacramento Kings aren't going to get any better. Well, they talk about adjustments in playoffs. And I think it's easier when you're down. I know this sounds weird. When you're down in the series, I think it's easier to make adjustments.
Mm.
You point to so many things that are going wrong. One thing that I feel like this team has been so good with this series is they are just we talked about this yesterday with Ham. They're laser focused, like they're locked in on this. I think they can go through all of their film and find 10 different ways to improve despite the fact that they're up 2-0. One thing that I'm really curious to see tonight, something you brought up yesterday in relation to game 2, do they attack the paint without Draymond being out there from jump? How does Golden State respond to that?
Mhm.
And 2, I don't think we know who's starting yet. I think Kerr is holding that close
Mhm.
until game time. But just by nature of being down a player, you're going to see more Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
They went at Jordan Poole
Yeah.
all series. And I went back and looked on the advice of someone else and saw they've been going at Jordan Poole all season.
Mhm.
Uh, that's a weakness in their defense. And I like Jordan Poole. That's a big weakness
Mhm.
in their defense, and they know it, and they really tried to exploit it in game number 2. And again, with the depth being so, I don't know. The Warriors aren't in a position to where the Kings could play Jordan Poole off the floor because they just can't.
Right.
But if you make them pay when Jordan Poole is on the floor, that could go a long way in 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 keeping your offense flowing or getting your offense flowing, depending on the
Yeah, and
circumstance of
I
the
think
game.
it affected at least in game 2, along with maybe the ankle as well. I don't want to dispute that,
And that's a great call to point that
but
out. He's playing through something.
I thought them going at Jordan maybe affected his offense too. Got him a little rattled for his entire game.
Yeah,
Um, though the Kings going at him the
it's
way he did.
it's kind of humiliating, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it'll.
it's like if you can't stop it and they keep doing it,
Mhm.
like we pointed out when the Clippers did that to Shavano a couple of years, it
Mhm.
was like 7 straight plays that they made sure they got the switch where Buddy was going to Kawhi.
Yeah, and
They scored on like 6 of those possessions.
it makes you feel like you're never gonna get a stop.
Right.
Like it totally messes with you for sure. It
Mhm.
absolutely messes with you. And it's one thing if it happens and you get a stop or two and then you make them go away. But if they're able to keep doing what they want to do and keep attacking the basket and you saying, hey, that's the matchup we want, it'll definitely mess with you on the defensive end. It may mess with you on the offensive end as well.
Mhm.
So, and then combine that with the fact that, you're dealing with an injury. Yeah, that's something that, you got to take a look at if you're Golden State as to how, if there's a way, how do we keep this from continuing to happen?
Are you worried about the whistle tonight?
Um, I understand everybody's point about the whistle, but I guess I just have and I'm not shading nobody, but just like a coach's player mentality. Like it's just you got to overcome it, even if it is there. Like you can't let it defeat you. If you play good, solid defense enough, you'll like they're not going to call every foul on you, so you'll get your stops. If you execute on offense, you'll get your buckets.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that's just like, people will be like, yeah, but you can't play great defense every time. And sometimes you're going to play great defense and they'll call a bad foul or not give you a call. Like I get all that, but like I said, I come from maybe the Coach Brown mentality, or if I was one of the players, we can't look at that as a crutch. We can't look at that as something that we're using as an excuse as to why we can't get this win. We've got to overcome all that and get this victory. But I understand people when they say, "Oh, it's going to be a tighter whistle," or they're going to be looking Sabonis. Like I get all those arguments. I'm not disputing any of those. I just feel like you got to figure it out.
Something tells me they're aware of officiating. Something tells me they're very aware of what went on social media yesterday and what went on national television yesterday regarding some high-profile remarks made by J.J. Redick in the officiating game, who clarified those remarks on his podcast by saying essentially the exact same thing he said yesterday, just using much more words around it and far less anger.
Do we have both clips?
So we do, but the podcast one I don't think is airable.
Yeah, he curses.
Yeah, so the podcast one isn't airable, but it's out there. And he says, I'm not saying the officials are favoring the Sacramento Kings. I'm saying the way that the game is being officiated is favoring the Sacramento Kings.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
It's J.J. Redick on his podcast.
Yeah, man, like that was crazy. That was crazy talk, man.
That was wild.
That was crazy talk. And I just want to know, like, here's what I will say. What do you want the defense to do? You know what I mean? Like, just let Clay and Steph run around and you.
Yeah, that was my favorite. If you're not going to let them get up the floor, what?
Yeah,
we're supposed like is that like impolite? JJ, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what do we do? How is the game physical sometimes, and then other times you're supposed to like just keep hands off? Nobody keeps hands off. Nobody, doesn't impede the offensive player's path trying to run off the ball.
And I love that he cited the singular example of
the
Domas putting his hands in Kevon Looney's back and Warriors fans working. See, look, it's right here. JJ was right. Okay, you're right. Domas absolutely 1,000% did that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not cut the sharing of missed fouls off, though, on that one.
Come on, man.
Let's make sure we show the rest of them.
Come on, man. I mean,
this Domas is a dirty player thing that's come from that has gotten that's incredible.
Kind of wild.
Absolutely incredible.
Never heard anything about Domas 5 days ago.
Now all of a sudden he's ripping people's ankles off and beating them to death with it. He could have really injured him. It could have been bad. It could have. Domantas Sabonis should be ashamed of himself.
Domantas Sabonis should have interpersonal communication training.
He should. How is this okay? Instead of just letting Draymond Green step on his face, he chose to wrap up his ankle and yank on it and twist it like Kurt Angle.
Talking to Bonte and Butch today, they brought up another aspect that I didn't think about, because at first, I know Bonte was really dismissive of the Draymond moment being having as much vitriol as it did.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. I was like, I don't know what they showed on TV. So all the things that we saw, you might not have saw it on TV. And then Bonte said he saw Jason Anderson's post and kind of saw it and was like, damn, like I didn't know it was like that. He asked me, we talked about it yesterday. Like it was it was pretty
bad.
turned up in that
Yeah.
arena. Like
Yep.
I'm not gonna. Some people have said malice in the palace. I don't know if I want to go that far, but it was turned up. But he brought up a good point. Another reason why maybe he gets suspended. Number one, Adam Silver's there. This
Yeah.
isn't a TV thing. Like he was in the same building we were in and probably felt the same thing we felt. And then maybe it wasn't malice in the palace, but Ante talked about all it took was somebody throwing a water bottle, throwing a balled up napkin. And
what would Draymond have done? What would it have turned into?
I'm sorry to keep speaking about this man this way. I would not have been, if somebody threw a balled up napkin at Draymond, I would not be surprised if he would have went in the stands. Like he was that out of it. He was gone. Yeah. After thinking about it like that, thinking about everything involved, and especially Adam Silver there, seeing it, I don't think you can understate the difference between watching that on TV and being there for during that commercial break to see how that thing played out.
Yeah.
It was different.
Yeah.
And I think that had a lot to do with him being suspended.
It was bad. There was a very immediate reaction, and then the replay there was an immediate reaction of like frustration, like what the hell just happened? But then when the replay hit the big board, that's where it got bad.
Yeah.
And then that's when Draymond started to go to center court, cup his ear like he's, Hulk Hogan in 1987. And then, I don't know who the people were. You could clearly see them on Jason's video. I don't know if it didn't look like security. It
looked like regular fans.
I think it was just regular fans. Don't do anything crazy. You could see just stop, chill. Right. And credit to that dude. I don't know who he was.
Yeah,
I don't know that he actually stopped anything, but
I think there was another person. There's like two.
There was two on each side.
They were like, hey, you guys just chill.
Yeah.
Like don't do nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought about that after we talked, because I didn't think anybody was going to come out of the stands. I didn't think Draymond was going into the stands.
I was concerned.
But like you said, all it would take was one person throw some gum at him.
Yeah, because I was in 104 when that happened. And so we're staring essentially right down at Draymond. I was very concerned someone was going to throw something. And I will be completely honest, I think some people did from the upper deck, and I think it fell short because I saw stuff come, very minimal amount of stuff, nothing even like super. You talking about a rolled up napkin? It might have been that, but you could see like a couple of things, and I'm sure there are some people in that section who will tell you, yes, a couple of things came down. But that was 100% my biggest fear when he stood up on that chair like that someone was going to throw a water bottle right at his face.
And there's no doubt in my mind he would have went into the stands.
I think Jason Anderson may have been the film that got evaluated in that meeting, because it wasn't just Draymond Green that you saw, it wasn't just Adam Silver that you saw, it was the team and the coaches. And one thing that we talked about after the incident was this felt like a failure on the Warriors organization. And I understand what Steve Kerr said, and in those moments, there's nothing you can do about it. You're the head coach of that team. You better find a way to do something about it, because that explanation of in those moments when he gets like that, you can't put your arm around him and calm him down. If he had gotten hit in the face with something, or hit period with something, and it gone into the stands, or if this thing had escalated in any sort of way, that explanation you gave yesterday, that ain't gonna work. As much respect as I have for Steve Kerr, that wasn't going to do it.
Right.
It wasn't going to do it for Adam Silver,
right,
or the league, because you see them all plainly, and that's video is the key to this whole thing. You see them all on video, clapping. Some of them were laughing. Steve Kerr had his clipboard, went and sat down.
No.
The assistant coaches should have. Not even the assistant coaches. You've got security there.
Security, you got
get him down. Yeah. Forget the teammates. Where the hell is your security? Right. When someone gets tossed, the security immediately comes over and grab you. You don't have to wait to get tossed. Get down, sit down, and relax. The camera, the deuces to the camera, the big smile to that's whatever.
Yeah.
All of that other stuff, you went out of your way, and that's ultimately Adam Silver was in that crowd. You want to show up the crowd, you're showing up me.
Yeah.
And that's how we got in this position.
And the other thing that's kind of crazy about what Steve Kerr said to me, like, what do you mean you can't calm him down? There's nothing you can do. Like,
you're literally saying this man is uncontrollable.
I'm just about to say that's akin to me saying, like, people thought I went too far, and Mike Tyson and saying he's unhinged. That is akin to saying the man is unhinged. There is no
if you can't calm him down. Yeah.
Like there's no consoling him. There's no calming him down. It's just him. That is the same thing as me saying this dude is wild. He's unhinged. He's a maniac. And Steve Kerr, there's nothing we could do. What? That's not a good look either.
Day 3 of your Draymond Green coverage here on ESPN 1320 continues.
I brought it up this time.
No, it's an impossible story to avoid because of the circumstances of tonight's game. There's a lot of things at play here tonight. Everyone talks about championship experience. I think this is a situation where it comes into play for Golden State. People use that term, the wounded animal. This is where it comes into play for Golden State. And I do think we'll learn a lot tonight.
Yeah.
I've been high on this Golden State Warriors team. I have them being a little bit better than you do. They, I think, can answer a lot of questions tonight.